good afternoon, everybody, or good morning for somebody. And I'm very much pleased to have an opportunity to have share my experience in Thailand with my colleagues and friends in Thailand. So let me share the screen and introduce what we have been so far achieved. Okay, and I suppose this photo I took maybe 4 years ago, and last 2 years I have never ever had an opportunity to visit Thailand. So I miss really that the atmosphere and environment, friends in Thai. But anyway, so that today I will introduce about some experience under the project named Adaptee. The Adaptee is research framework about impact assessment and adaptation to climate change. And doing the climate change projections and impact and the damage assessment, and in major 4 sectors, freshwater, coastal, and sediment disaster and rural areas in terms related to the agriculture. And we want to establish or develop some adaptation measures with the Thai colleagues and all the stakeholders, including policymakers and officers in government and citizens, like early warning system based on the seasonal forecast, or the infrastructure development such as Sabo Dam, that is sediment management dam, or land use planning can reduce that potential impact by climate change. And we'd like to show the cost benefits of the adaptation in these major 4 sectors. And we like to support the local municipalities to develop the well-balanced adaptation portfolio and meta-analysis considering financial and other metrics. And all these activities should support the core design for the good practice. And as I told you, that support policy making for national master plans, or the integrated with adaptation by various stakeholders such as central and local governments and citizens and researchers. And not only within our project itself is within Thailand, but we like to disseminate our experience and good practices to the neighboring states. And the study areas for the sediment disaster in the northern part of Thailand, and freshwater and forests, or about that the northern part, and rural areas in the northeastern part near Khon Kaen. And the study area in urban area is Bangkok, and we like to assess the economic damage by the urban flood and how we can adapt, for example, by the elevated road development. And also that in the southern part, that our colleagues has been working on the beach erosion with the stakeholders to monitor the changes in the last decades. And countermeasures of climate change in Thailand, that institutionally, the Office of Natural Resources and Environmental Policy and Planning, ONEP, is the core agency for the adaptation to climate change in Thailand. And now, or that in the past several years, climate change master plan has been formulated, and it was started in 2015. And somehow that like a COVID-19, also that the government management that is still not approved, but we hope that it will be submitted to the cabinet this year. And this is that ONEP's roadmap to establish national adaptation plan in Thailand. And we are very much proud that our project, JAITA Adaptee, is attributed to some of the supporting research and activities. And our project will be related to risk map development, adaptation options, and also that research and development. And about the risk map, so this one is that the shallow groundwater mapping for agricultural use. So that with that Diesel, Professor Dr. Diesel, at Kasetsatu University, that we can assess that mapping that the shallow water existence and background is in severe drought here that the shallow groundwater was only the source of water for upland farmers, so that the measuring that the shallow groundwater by the electromagnetic geophysical techniques could identify which part that much more easier to get the shallow groundwater. And that helped a lot. For example, the cost to develop the shallow well reduced by the 1/5, and also that the applying the supplementary use of shallow groundwater, not full irrigation, helped to increase the yield of the sugarcane in Spanburi province. And about the drought monitoring platform, that unfortunately that is this system is not operating now, but basically that by the various satellite observation and in-situ observation and coupled with the crop growth model, we developed the map of the drought risk evaluated by this SPI or SDT or the drought DSI in the semi-real time, and provide the people to have a look and prepare for the possible drought in the coming few weeks. And about the landslide risk, that the landslide or slope failure sedimentation. So we provided audit or surveillance system and risk assessment of existing significant infrastructures. And risk-based design level adaptation approaches for the mitigation were proposed. And we actually that the Dr. Stisak-san developed and installed community-based landslide warning system and tools, and had intensive workshops and let them maintain and utilize and operate the warning system by themselves. So this kind of not just by the instrument itself, but the human development or the community-based disaster risk reduction should be the key of adaptation to climate change. And here is another assessment in northern Thailand about the climate change and land use change on the flood discharge. And the point is, here are some, we developed some scenario that which area could be transferred from the forest into the farming land or the others. And in 2016, still 70% of the northern area, this basin was covered by the forest. But it is anticipated that, okay, due to that economic growth and more demand for the vegetables, maybe that farming land could have been, would be increased. And our simulation tells from the 2016 to the future at the end of this century, 2050, so that it seems that the climate models are predicting once in 10 years flood, the rainfall could be reduced, therefore that the peak discharge could be reduced. However, if the forest area reduced from 70% to the 45%, even though the rainfall once in 10 years rainfall could be reduced, but the flood discharge could be this could be similar or higher. So that not only the climate change, we have to manage the land use or land cover very well to preserve the current level of the disaster risk potential. And this one is about adaptation to sea level rise in coastal zones, so that the Adampe, the Sompratana, have been working with the local people and her student to check that what could be the sea level rise in the coastal zone of Thailand. And she has been observing the current beach condition at more than 100 locations, and erosion examine the countermeasures and how much volume of sun for beach nourishment is required, what could be the cost to keep the current state of the beach. And also not only that academic surveillance and research, that her group has been working on the interviews of 48 villagers living in the coastal zone about climate change, coastal disasters, and erosion problems, and discuss about what could be the feasible and preferable choice of the adaptation to each individual village. And as a whole of the project, that Dr. Shirakawa from Nagoya University is developing the web application, and which resolve the more than 7,000 Tambon's local municipality in Thailand, that what could be the possible or the top 3 possible climate change impacts, and what could be the reasonable and the feasible adaptation for each Tambon or the local municipalities. So they select the region, select the social and the climate change scenarios, and select the adaptation for each disaster, and what could be the cost, what could be the economic damage, and what could be the impact of poverty, so that we have not only think about the economic damage, but we should think about the impact to the society, and also the loss of the human lives, and let the policymakers support the policymaker to establish the evidence-based policy making. And as we introduced that, we are very proud that these activities and outcomes are now transferred to the National Adaptation Plan of Thailand through the ONEP. So there's a summary that I'd like to emphasize that it is important to gather and share the adaptation countermeasures and options and its related information, and to develop the good practice on the regional scale or local scale. And necessary to collaborate not only with the responsive agencies related to climate change, but also operating agencies, which is responsible for adaptation measures, in particular in water issues such as RID, or the Office of the National Water Resources, or HII, or Thai Meteorological Department, and so on. And localizing activities are also important. We have organized the outreach activities in remote areas with Thai collaborators, and I think that we learn from the workshop. And also we feel that we are somewhat contributing to stimulate the sense of the adaptation and the risk of the climate change of the local community. So it's a win-win situation to have these workshops. And of course, then environment young generation should be the key to make this program or the activities sustainable. So thank you very much for your attention.